Party. It was a night that ended as it was expected to. At about 8:45 this evening, former Governor Roy Cooper took the stand and accepted the Democratic nomination for U.S. Senate. He thanked his wife, his supporters, and his competitors. And then before he got into the bulk of what he had to say, he passed along condolences to the military members that were killed in the attacks in Iran. He said, look, we have a long way to go until November, but he is ready to keep fighting. He then addressed the crowd saying, do you want change? I'm for you. Do you want to toss out the D.C. insiders? I'm for you. Do you think that food and groceries are costing too much? I'm for you. He then said he wants to focus on farm.
A reminder, the news doesn't end here. Here's what's coming up on WCNC Plus at 7 a.m.
It's Roy Cooper versus Michael Whatley in a Senate race that could determine if Republicans can hold on to the Senate or Democrats can flip this seat and the Senate.
Last night, Democratic voters decided to keep Gary McFadden as Mecklenburg County Sheriff. Coming up, how he came out on top in a close race despite facing controversy.
And thousands of Americans scrambling to leave the Middle East. This morning, the response from the U.S. And now we know the names of those 4 service members killed in this ongoing conflict. And it's more important than ever to know how to be alerted when there is severe weather.
We'll tell you the best ways to keep your family safe. Those stories and much more live, local, and breaking news coming up at 7 a.m. on WCNC Plus.
Right, well, it's getting busy out there this morning. One thing to let you know about before you go is this crash right here. It's going to be 2 right lanes that are currently blocked. I-485, the inner loop at I-77. We're seeing those delays really building. I'm going to continue to cover that on WCNC Plus for you.
A lot of people use that route for their morning commute. Join us streaming live at WCNC Plus starting at 7 o'clock.
Lots of primary results we want to get to this morning. Thanks for starting your morning with us here at 7 a.m. streaming on WCNC Plus. I'm Ben Thompson.
And I'm Lisa Washington, but we're going to start with the latest on the conflict in Iran. We now know the names of those 4 U.S. Army Reserve members who were killed in Operation Epic Fury.
The other names have not been released, at least not yet. From left to right, take a look. Captain Cody Cork, Sergeant First Class Noah Tejens, Sergeant First Class Nicole Amor, and Sergeant Declan Cody, all from the 103rd Sustainment Command and killed in a drone attack in Kuwait. The youngest, Sergeant Declan Cody, just 20 years old. The Pentagon expecting to give a briefing coming up in about an hour at 8 a.m. We're going to stream that live right here on WCNC Plus.
First, though, we're going to head over to Chris to get an update on our forecast on this Wednesday because it is noticeably warmer today and things are going to be going up from here.
Yeah, and look at this. The sun has come out. That's the big difference. We really haven't had a lot of sunshine recently, especially over the last couple of mornings. You can see these really thin lower clouds. That's the big difference. We've had a thick layer of clouds that physically you couldn't even see out of our Dallas camera at one point over the last couple of mornings. So things looking good. And some of us who were up early before 6 o'clock saw this. That's right. We had the SpaceX rocket launch. So this is a Starlink mission that officially launched at 5:52. So really it was between 5:54 and 6:02 a.m. that we saw some of the best visibilities. That is so cool. So many of us were able to get out and see this, such as Robin from Hickory Grove and then also Paula from Lincolnton. I also saw a couple of videos I wasn't able to import into my system that were from Mount Holly as well. So a lot of great images across the board. This is some of the last recordings that we had from our Dallas camera. Check that out. You can see how it just illuminated the sky. Some of those upper level clouds is a little close up, and this is right before it disappeared out of view, right beyond our tower right here. And these happen more frequently than you think. So we'll hopefully be able to catch the next one. I'll keep you more in advance here on WCNC Plus where our next rocket launch is going to be and if we're going to potentially see the visibility. We lucked out this morning because we just saw enough sunshine. Temperatures at 48 degrees. I think we're living our low. This is pretty much the bottom for the day. 43 right around Hickory and then 40 degrees around Morganton. Today's highs 75. Say what? We actually only reached 58 degrees yesterday. Lots of sunshine to go around. This is going to be a good one. I think all in all, it does turn out to be a partly sunny one. But if you're already thinking about the weekend, in a nutshell, it really is going to be a great forecast. We have 81 on Saturday. There is a slight chance for rain, but this is the big change, the big new in the forecast. Sunday is now looking like a better storm chance than what we saw before. So over the next few days, we're really going to have a nice looking forecast overall. It's going to be that spring fever. Temperatures on the rise. We're 75 today, upper 70s tomorrow, and right around 80 degrees on Friday. As far as our rain chances go, it really isn't until about your Saturday late day that you have an isolated rain chance. I think most of us are going to stay dry. The only exception is I think our North Carolina mountains, our high country could see a little bit more of this. But then check this out. We're going to see a slight chance to our west heading into the weekend. But I think a lot of this activity, not a lot is actually going to come to fruition. Instead, we start to see a front starting to push in with more moisture and this heat that we have in place. So that's going to allow our better chance for rain and even some thunderstorms by about mid to late afternoon. Right now, it's looking kind of like after 2 o'clock. It's a pretty standard time. We'll see how this is going to adjust, but I have to let people know Saturday is now the better day this weekend because Sunday is going to have a chance for storms. Even though there's a slight chance on Saturday, it's a much better chance now on Sunday. Also, don't forget that we are springing forward, the official beginning of daylight saving time. And then next week, still staying warm, 80 to 84. Coming up, we're going to talk a little bit more about the near term, what you can expect for those winds, and then also when eventually we get back to normal, back to the 60s as opposed to the 70s and 80s. All right, our very first look at our morning commute. It was getting busy at the end of the 6 o'clock hour. Let's see where we stand.
Spot on. Still very congested. I-77, this is mile marker 90 out near Carowin. So really coming in from areas right around York County heading northbound. This is what it looks like. I mean, it's always slow moving this time of the day, but it's problematic because we're actually watching a crash right around that area. In southwest Charlotte, this is the biggest issue right now. It's an accident that's causing 2 lanes to currently be blocked. I-45, the inner loop at I-77. So specifically exit 65 to 67 is where we're really seeing those delays. Another thing here, this is I-85 northbound out near near Kings Mountain. It's at York Road, that's exit 8. It's backed up to Dixon School Road, that's exit 5. This is stop and go traffic for 3 miles if you're heading inbound from Kings Mountain up to the Charlotte metro area. Another additional crash. This is just south of I-485, Providence Road, south of Argery Kell Road, seeing minimal delays there. Much of the same here. I still see a lot of green. However, I do not have any indication that this is completely cleared. This is Harrisburg Road near I-485 where those problems are still ongoing. Again, not seeing significant delays. This is in the heart of Uptown, right between North Tryon Street and West 10th Street, where we do have a delay building there as that crash is still not cleared. Independence inbound also very busy right before Briar Creek Road, all the way backed up to Albemarle Road. A lot of things going on right now as we're heading into the 7 o'clock hour. We'll have another update coming up soon.
All right, now to our primary coverage. Results coming in overnight, starting with the race for Mecklenburg County Sheriff. Take a look. Gary McFadden able to fight off 3 challengers and just as many controversies.
WCNC Charlotte's Destiny Richards is live this morning in Uptown. And Destiny, this was a very close race that a lot of people were watching here in Mecklenburg County.
That's right. This was a really close race, but ultimately McFadden came out on top to secure his 3rd term as Mecklenburg County Sheriff. He received just under 34% of the vote, and there were nearly 99,000 ballots cast in this race. Now, McFadden won with a narrow lead over Ricky Robbins by just over 2,700 votes and finished ahead of Rodney Collins and Antoine Nance. Now, the race unfolded during a turbulent period for the sheriff's office, including an active SBI investigation, questions about conditions inside the jail, nearly 24 inmate deaths in recent years, and claims of workplace misconduct. But despite these challenges, voters chose to keep McFadden in office, where he's emphasized mental health initiatives, re-entry programs, and community engagement since 2018.
It's not about me, it's about the people of Mecklenburg County. It's always been. The people here are going to celebrate of working very hard with very little support with all the things going on. So this is for their celebration because they stuck by me.
Now, there were no Republican candidates in this race, which means McFadden will begin his next term as sheriff in December. I'll send it back to you guys live here from Uptown.
That's why we say it's so important to vote even in the primary, because in some cases, these are decisive races. There's not going to be a follow-up.
And as we're going to see, one was very close. So it's really important for you to go out and vote.
As we said, that was a close race for sheriff. Challenger Ricky Robbins came just 2 percentage points from unseating the sheriff.
Robbins has served within CMPD for 30 years in a variety of roles, including as supervisor for SWAT. Our team spoke with him after those results came in. He takes full accountability for the loss.
I'm good. I'm upset at myself, because I think and I know that my entire campaign team and everybody in the community supported me, backed me. I had backing and support from officers. So anytime you don't fulfill that, then I'm blaming myself. I don't blame anybody else. Because the work's out there for me to do, and so I needed to do a little bit harder.
Robbins noted this could be his last time running for office and that he supports the votes. One of the most watched Senate races in the country is now set, and it's happening right here in North Carolina. Former Governor and Democrat Roy Cooper will face off against former Republican National Committee Chair Michael Whatley. This seat represents one of the Democrats' best opportunities to flip a Republican-held seat and make some gains in Congress. Now, coming up at 7:30, our Richard debate is going to be live with reaction from both teams, the Cooper team and the Whatley team, as they are now focusing their attention on November. All right, let's head over to Ben. He was here monitoring those results as they came in overnight. And Ben, we know one of the most closely watched races now going to a runoff, most likely. We're talking about that North Carolina Senate President Phil Berger hanging on by a thread and his race there.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever seen a race quite this close before. It's likely going to head to a recount. We don't know that for sure. Still provisional ballots that need to be counted in the next 24 hours that might change this. And I say this because right now it's 13,077 versus 13,075. You got it. 2 votes between this. There's a lot at stake here. Phil Berger, if you don't know the name, he is about as big a deal as you can get in Raleigh when it comes to the General Assembly. He calls all the shots, more powerful than the governor. And this is his local race up in Rockingham County and Guilford County, and looks quite possible that he might end up losing it. This is going to take probably at least several days to figure out who is the actual winner there. Another close one we're looking at, actually not that close, but another upset of an incumbent for a state legislative race closer here to home up in Huntersville. Carla Cunningham, longtime Democrat incumbent, said some controversial things about immigration last year on the House floor. Upset a lot of Democrats, fellow Democrats. She also voted with Republicans a couple of times to override the governor's veto, again, not making her very popular with Democrats. Rodney Sadler ended up getting a lot of the establishment endorsements, and you can see it like paid dividends for him. Almost 50 percentage points behind them. Carla Cunningham behind by 5,000 votes at this point, with just about all the precincts reported. So those were two of the most interesting state legislative races that we were following that could tell us more about where voters' head are, where their heads are as we head into the general election. Lisa.
And of course, we have many more of those results scrolling right now at the bottom of your screen. But we want to focus our attention now on the Mecklenburg County Board of Commissioners. The incumbents, Lee Altman, Arthur Griffin, and Yvette Townsend Ingram, were all reelected to their at-large seats. Mecklenburg County Commission has 6 district seats and 3 at-large seats. And after 3 decades, District 2 incumbent Vilma Leak has lost her seat. Monifa Mo Drayton took the lead Tuesday in a major shakeup. And of course, all morning we'll continue to dive into the key races and the impacts they will have. You can find those results in our area, as we said, on the WCNC Charlotte app and scrolling at the bottom of your screen. The Trump administration is facing criticism from many, including Americans who are currently stranded in the Middle East. We hear the plan from the administration to help.
As the U.S.-Israeli war with Iran continues, a source says Israel struck the compound of a group set to choose Iran's new supreme leader.
Iranian state media said the building was evacuated before that attack. That strike was just one of many Tuesday in this ongoing conflict. Here's Reed Binion.
It's a lot of different things here that need to happen in order to move people.
Secretary of State Marco Rubio on Tuesday addressing the issue of Americans stranded in the Middle East as the ongoing U.S.-Israeli war with Iran expands across the region.
It'll be a variety of methods: charter flights, military flights and transports, expanded commercial opportunities, and in some cases land routes that will allow them to go to neighboring countries.
The Trump administration facing criticism, including from some stranded Americans. President Donald Trump suggesting Tuesday there was no evacuation plan in place because the war unfolded too quickly. Officials are urging Americans to contact the State Department if they are stuck overseas and need help.
It all starts by knowing that where you are and how we can get a hold of you.
This comes amid continuing attacks on Iran and more retaliatory attacks by Iran on Israel and against countries throughout the Middle East, including a U.S. consulate in Dubai and an airbase in Qatar, where officials say an Iranian ballistic missile struck the largest U.S. military installation in the region. There were no casualties. Meanwhile, sources say the CIA is working to arm Kurdish forces who have operations along the Iraq-Iran border with the goal of sparking an uprising in Iran. I'm Reed Binion reporting.
Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem will face another round of grilling from lawmakers today, this time from the House Judiciary Committee. During Tuesday's Senate committee hearing, Noem was questioned on several issues, including the deadly shootings of 2 Americans in Minneapolis this year and the department's use of administrative warrants to search private property and homes. Some of the hardest grilling came from fellow Republicans, including Senator Thom Tillis of North Carolina. That hearing is scheduled to start at 10 this morning.
Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick has agreed to go before the House Oversight Committee to talk about his relationship with Jeffrey Epstein. It comes as the Trump administration has tried to downplay his ties to the late convicted sex offender. While Lutnick described cutting ties with Epstein in 2005, the Justice Department recently released documents that suggest otherwise. A date's not been set for his testimony. Live pictures right now as the sun comes up over Charlotte Motor Speedway. Quite a beautiful sight there. Chris, standing by with a look at your weather impact forecast. Up next.
Approaching 7:19 now, severe weather season is knocking on our door. It's more important than ever that you know how to be alerted.
Meteorologist Brittany Van Voorhees shows us what to know to keep your family safe.
When severe weather strikes, every second matters when it comes to getting to safety. And in the age of technology, everyone should have multiple ways to be warned quickly. Let's raise your weather IQ. When the warning sounds, it's time to move. On average, the National Weather Service provides a 13-minute lead time ahead of a tornado. But sometimes a warning may only trigger minutes before the twister, so knowing immediately about danger could save your life. However, tornado sirens should not be your primary way of receiving warnings. While some areas continue to operate sirens, not all municipalities still use them, and those that do may have their own rules and regulations. Instead, a NOAA weather radio can be used to alert you to severe weather even in the middle of the night. Much like a smoke detector, a weather radio sounds an alarm to alert you to impending danger. The National Weather Service uses legacy radio signals to operate a network of transmitters across the country. These radios have resiliency against power and internet outages. The same alerts will also appear on broadcast media, including WCNC Charlotte and WCNC Plus, where they will scroll across the bottom of your screen and appear as push notifications on our app. If you're streaming severe weather coverage, it's also important to remember there is a delay and it may be different across platforms. This makes multiple options even more critical to your safety and creates life-saving redundancy. With your Weather IQ, I'm meteorologist Brittany Van Voorhees.
Thanks a lot, Brittany. So we'll continue to keep you in the know for the rest of this week. So it is Severe Weather Preparedness Week. Up next, we have Majestic with lightning, and then we'll conclude with some flash flooding. And of course, we're always here to raise your weather IQ, just like this setup. Whenever you have a chance for a record warmth, as we are pretty much dealing with each and every day, we're either near a record or we have a legitimate shot at breaking one, like this coming Friday and also next Tuesday. But we're going to start to see a lot of storms start to develop in this area. Literally was just looking over there because we're, of course, have the Today Show. Al was just talking about this. But check this out. This is next Wednesday. We're looking at a really serious storm system. This time of year, if you're talking about a division of big time snow and ice up here, and then meanwhile you have this tail of this cold front, that shows the difference of that cold and warmer air and how powerful this system is. So I think this is going to be a major wet weather maker and even storm maker through the early part of next week. Meanwhile, the reason why I'm showing you this is I think it is going to affect us as well. The timing is really all in the making here. If this is more of an overnight event, it's not too big of a deal for us. If it's more of a peak of the afternoon and it's interacting with that 84-degree high that we're about to have, then we're going to be looking at a little bit more problematic situation. As of right now, it looks to be Wednesday night into Thursday, which would be our best case scenario, but regardless, it's a cold front. As far as our rain chances to come, I was showing you what's happening potentially on Sunday. So Sunday, I think we have a good chance for storms. It's really our best storm chance we've had so far this year. Just an isolated variety after that, and then back up to a more likely chance Wednesday into Thursday because of that system I just showed you. But that's going to affect us. This is going to be the beginning today, 75 degrees, of an epic warm-up. This is technically a heat wave. Heat wave is every time you have 3 days or more of unseasonably warm temperatures. I'm talking about like 20 degrees above the average, and that's exactly what we're having here today. 75 to 84 degrees over the next 7, and then it's just all about the timing of that front. It doesn't really look until it's next Thursday that we're going to see that big cool down back into the 60s and then back to normal as well, but not our lows. One of these does not belong with the other. This is going to be tough for us because now we're going to get used to, after today, the 50s and 60s for lows. We're back to the 30s would look like to end next week. But luckily this morning has been great weather-wise. Traffic-wise, a little problematic. Let's get an update.
All right, let's get to a good morning, everyone. It is busy. It's 7:23 right now. Few accidents popping up on my map, so let's get straight to the most important thing. Here we go. It's going to be 2 right lanes that are currently blocked. This is I-485 to get onto I-77 if you're heading inbound. Specifically between exit 65 and 67. Again, 2 right lanes currently blocked. Once we're heading out to I-85, this is right by Kings Mountain. This is where we have a 3-mile backup of stop and go traffic because of an accident that happened about 15 minutes ago. This is going to be problematic. I don't like to see this red. It means cars are just moving very, very slowly, specifically out towards Dixon School Road. Heading back over towards the east, another thing that's still not cleared. It's just south of I-485, so south of Uptown Providence Road. There's a crash there at Ardrey Kell Road. Again, a very well-traveled spot this time of the day, and again, not completely cleared. Finally, Independence. If you're taking inbound lanes, there is a crash there just after Briar Creek Road. We're seeing yellow, just meaning that cars are moving slowly, but at this point, it doesn't seem to be stop and go.
Majestic, thanks. Well, listen, today is National Marching Music Day. It's a celebration of the musicians, the dancers, and the performers who bring music on the move to parades, stadiums, and communities all across the country. It honors the long tradition of marching music, from military roots to modern drum lines, color guards, and those high-energy band performances. Now, if you enjoy this type of music in Charlotte this weekend, the celebration continues actually later this month. The big HBCU Southern Classic Battle of the Bands will take over Bojangles Coliseum on March 15th, featuring bands from across the Southeast and a full fan fest before that main event. All right, 7:25 now on this Wednesday morning, the day after the primaries. A live look at Uptown. Keep it right here on WCNC Plus. We'll be right back.
Good morning. While some of you are sleeping, check this out. A couple of our viewers caught these photos. That's right. That's that SpaceX rocket launch that happened just before 6 o'clock. So it was visible, really vivid one. Don't usually see anything that cool across the horizon. But this is also kind of something rare of the last couple of days. Sunshine. We got that with some of those upper level clouds. A gorgeous beginning to the day. 75 degrees is going to be our high. So that means we're in the 60s before you know it to end the morning. And then the lower to the mid 70s for most of the afternoon. Lows also mild. 50s translate over to the 60s over the next 7 days. Our Jerry Hunt Supercenter 7-day forecast shows a wonderful trend. Literally, this is our coolest high over the next 7. 75 degrees is still feeling like May, as much as 84 next Tuesday. It's been a busy morning commute. Majestic has more.
Good Wednesday morning, everyone. It is surely busy. This is I-77 mile marker 90 out near Carowinds. You can see cars are moving steadily, but they're definitely moving quite slow. We have a handful of ongoing wrecks that I'm covering for you this morning on WCNC Plus until 9 o'clock. But here's one thing you need to know before you go. We're following an accident that does have the right 2-lane blocks. This is I-485 at I-77. Those inner lanes there, we will have delays for the next 20 minutes.
Thanks for streaming live on WCNC Plus at 7:30. I'm Lisa Washington.
And I'm Ben Thompson. One of the most closely watched state races looks like it's headed to a recount. Phil Berger, Senate President in Raleigh, and arguably the most powerful politician in the state, is currently losing his race by 2 votes.
Just 2 votes. We've been talking about this all morning. He represents a rural district that covers Rockingham and Guilford counties. WCNC Charlotte's Giselle Thomas joins us live this morning with what come next. I mean, this is really the talk of the morning. Just 2 votes separating them in this contest, Giselle.
That is true. And at this point, it just is a race that's too close to call. Now, this is for that Senate District 26 seat between Phil Berger and also Sam Page. Now, right now, we're actually hearing from Sam Page. He is calling it an early win. At this point, Phil Berger is saying that he wants to see what comes out of those provisional votes before he makes an official statement yet at this time. Let's get a little bit into just what we're seeing and what we saw overnight. So right now, it's a little too early again to make that call. According to state law, the candidate has the right to demand a recount if the margin is less than 1% of the total votes. Now, those results, take a look at them. You can see that they're both at about a 50% margin, just over 26,000 votes, and Page gaining a 2-point lead over Berger as they both tallied over 13,000 votes each. We spoke to both candidates last night about the results and what it means to them. Berger says that he's looking forward to seeing what comes out of those provisional ballot counts, and also that the Board of Elections, they're still tallying that at this time. Meanwhile, Page is already thinking about what things will look like in November.
So we've got to make sure that every legal vote gets counted, and I look forward to moving through that process in the next weeks and days and weeks. We will see kind of how the outcome turns out.
We showed the opposition that you can put $10 to $12 million in a campaign account, those dark ads and all that negative stuff. But you know what? It worked against you. And we won this because of relationships.
Now, the main thing to keep in mind here is that this Republican primary does not determine who's going to take that District 26 seat. It's really in November when whoever wins this race, they're going to be facing the Democratic candidate. That person's name is Steve Luking, and then that's going to be taking place in November. In Reidsville, Giselle Thomas, WCNC.
I would be surprised if there is not a recount there, if this doesn't continue for quite some time.
Yeah, a historic race there. All right, Giselle, thank you. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Giselle. One of the most watched Senate races in the country is now set, and that's here in North Carolina, where former Governor and Democrat Roy Cooper will face off against former Republican National Committee Chair Michael Whatley.
That seat represents one of Democrats' best chances to win back control of Congress. WCNC Charlotte's Richard Vane now live in Uptown with a reaction from both Cooper and Whatley, as now they focus all their attention on November. Richard?
Yeah, that's right, Ben. Good morning to you. Good morning, Lisa. Good Wednesday morning, everyone on the Plus. Basically, we kind of knew for a while that these 2 candidates were the front runners and probably the presumptive nominees, but after last night, there was no question as both Roy Cooper and Michael Whatley accepted the nomination on their party's behalf to run for that open seat from the retiring Tom Tillis. Now, as we look at video, basically, we can tell you it was a joyous night at both campaign headquarters where they celebrated their wins. Now, we were there with both Roy Cooper and Michael Whatley as they talked about their campaign, thanking their voters for what they had done. And also, we got an idea or some insight into their strategies as far as going forward. Where Michael Whatley is aligning himself, as most Republicans are, with the president, touting the stronger borders and security and issues like that, including a strong economy. For his part, Roy Cooper also talking about the economy and trying to make that affordability a key part of his campaign. Here's what both of them had to say. Take a listen.
And I want to thank President Donald J. Trump for his strong and unwavering support in this race. His leadership has changed our country, and I am proud to stand with him in the fight to secure our border, to strengthen our economy, and put America first.
I will always put the people of North Carolina first, before politics, before party. The people of North Carolina will be my total focus as I serve in the United States Senate. I work with anyone, anywhere, from any party to help make our state better and to make stuff cost less.
So we can tell you that for the next 8 months, we will be hearing a lot from both of these candidates and about both of these candidates. As you can expect, a lot of resources, a lot of people out canvassing, and a lot of ad revenue coming into stations and newspapers and the such, because these candidates and these campaigns will be spending a lot of money right here in the Tar Heel State trying to sway voters, because as we've said, if Republicans can hold onto the seat, they can control and maintain control of the Senate. If Democrats get it, they could flip control over to the Democrats. So this is one of two really closely watched seats. Of course, the other one in Texas. We'll keep you abreast of every twist and turn as it goes. Right now, we're right here in Uptown. This is Richard Devane. Guys, we'll send it back to you.
A lot at stake. Richard, thank you. Well, with Senate control on the line, this Cooper-Whatley matchup is expected to be the most expensive race in North Carolina history. A political science professor from Queen's University joined us here on WCNC Plus, breaking down how this could impact you.
They have to do a lot more research. And when candidates spend these large sums of money, again, it can be really problematic in many ways. But on the other hand, voters can pay attention to campaign ads and learn a lot about these different candidates in a way that makes them feel more confident when they go to the polls, that they're making the right choice about the candidate that aligns most with their values among the crowded Republican field and the crowded Democratic field.
We'll have more insight and analysis coming up in our next hour right here on WCNC Plus, reacting to some of the results as they come in.
It was a major showdown in the race for Mecklenburg County Sheriff. Despite carrying through an election during one of the most controversial stretches of his career, Gary McFadden holds on to his position as sheriff. Our Destiny Richards will join us live with more on that close race. Right now, though, we're going to head over to Ben because he was monitoring those results as they came in overnight. And I know, Ben, you're looking at some of the congressional races now, and no real surprises there.
Not really. A lot of these candidates have these districts really sort of firmed up their incumbents, and they are tough to beat. Starting off with Charlotte's own Alma Adams. You can see right here, it covers most of the Charlotte area. Right there, you can see highlighted in blue. Easy win for her, 79% of the vote. She will likely go on to win the general election because this is a heavily Democratic district. District 5, this is Virginia Fox up in the mountains, covers Blowing Rock, Boone, Mount Airy, North Wilkesboro. 75% of the vote there. Again, this is a heavily Republican district, so she will likely go on to win the general election without any problem. Same can be said about Tim Moore, 83% of the vote. This covers Ballantyne, Blakely, Gastonia out west towards Morganton. Again, a heavily Republican district. He'll likely win the general election without a problem. District 10, north of Charlotte, Statesville, Yadkinville, Winston-Salem, Pat Harrigan with 88% of the vote there. Are you noticing the trend here? Republican district, so he will probably win this again come November. And then District 11 out west, Chuck Edwards getting about 70% of the vote. This is actually a more competitive district, but still widely thought that Chuck Edwards will win in November. What this all comes down to is this is what we call redistricting, and when politicians can draw their own lines, they can make up districts that are very favorable for themselves while also pushing members of the other party and their voters all into one district, like say right here, focusing all Democrats in Charlotte. This is strategic. This is intentional. It's not necessarily pretty for democracy, but it is perfectly legal. Courts have litigated this time and time again, but it makes it a lot easier for the candidates to choose their voters and not the voters choosing their candidates. Lisa.
All right, well, let's talk now about the Mecklenburg County Board of Commissioners. The incumbents, Lee Altman, Arthur Griffin, and Yvette Townsend Ingram, were all reelected to their at-large seats. Mecklenburg County Commission has 6 district seats and 3 at-large seats. Now, after 3 decades, District 2 incumbent Vilma Leak has lost her seat. Monifa Mo Drayton took that lead Tuesday in a major shakeup. All right, 7:41 now. Let's check back in with Chris to find out more about our forecast and the sunshine returning today.
Yeah, I know. The last couple of mornings, what is this? What is this majestic thing in the sky? We have a beautiful start. That's what I'm talking about. Lots of sunshine for us to enjoy. There is really no problems for today and the next few. Just good times. Seriously. Great for going to the playground with the kids, being outside. Maybe you want to get ahead of things already starting to grow, because these temperatures, by the way, things are popping. I'm seeing daffodils all over the place. Those forsythias, that's usually those white flowers that you're seeing on a lot of those different plants. Things are starting to flourish. Next, you're going to see the hostas starting to pop as well. So this is going to be an ideal time for you to maybe attend to the yard, or maybe you just want to enjoy it, because we have a high of 75 today, and then we're rocking pretty much the 70s going forward. If you look really closely, we actually got a little bit of a sundog action going on here. So that's kind of the weak points of a halo there. So that's a really cool little weather optics that we're already seeing here. We're doing well. We missed the lunar eclipse yesterday, but then we also had that rocket launch earlier this morning. One of my favorite stories, Chris Beasley messaged me saying that he was literally just on a morning walk, and he looked up and he's like, is that a rocket launch? He's always wanted to see one. And he gets in and then he hears us talking about it on WCNC, and then it was confirmed. So that's really cool. That was a nice little surprise for him. Hopefully some of you caught it. If not, no worries. There's plenty of them. I'll let you know next vibrant the one that we're going to see. 42 degrees right around Hickory, 47 around Statesville, and then 50 for you in Salisbury. Regardless, the word of the morning is warmer by anywhere from 4 to 19 degrees, depending where you are. Yeah, it's a really nice start to the day. Loving that sunshine. I think that it's all in all going to be a changing hour by hour forecast that at times I think it could be mostly cloudy, mostly sunny. The skies are forever changing as you're going to have a bunch of different passing clouds, but I am calling the afternoon overall a partly sunny one. A good one though. 75 degrees, feeling absolutely fantastic. Winds pick up slightly out of the southwest, reaching the mid 70s by the closure of the afternoon. And our evening forecast, by 6 p.m. we're still at 70 degrees. If that doesn't say anything, that means it's still really comfortable if you want to eat outside for your evening. And we're still at 60 degrees at 11. Putting this perspective, we only had a high of 58 degrees yesterday. So just a wow status throughout the evening, and even the overnight, we're only falling down to 53 degrees. So our Jerry Hunt Supercenter 7-day forecast has us in at least the mid to the upper 70s to around 80 degrees over the next 5 days. And we see the top 84 on Tuesday. Now, the next time you hear me, I'm going to be talking a little bit more about our storm chances, the one that appears on Sunday, and also that storm chance is possibly going to be popping up the middle of next week. But first, let's get over to Majestic for a morning commute.
All right, Wednesday morning commute off to a busy start to the day. This time we'll take you out to I-77 out near Westinghouse. Look at all this traffic out there. Lots of cars moving very slowly, especially those inbound lanes. A handful of ongoing wrecks. Let's get you straight to the most important things. Still, we've been following this for about an hour now. It's an accident where 2 lanes are currently blocked. This is I-45, the inner loop, to get onto I-77 inbound, specifically around exit 65 to 66. Just slow moving conditions. Out towards Kings Mountain, another big crash that's causing a stop and go traffic for at least 3 miles. These are the northbound lanes on I-85, York Road, backed up to Dixon School Road. Another thing that I'm watching, the final one here, is Providence Road. This is just south of I-485 at Ardrey Hill Road. We do have some yellow, especially in northbound lanes where we do have some delays building. We'll keep this in mind. I'll give you some more updates coming up in just a few minutes, but for now, we're going to take a quick break.
7:47 now. Drivers are seeing the biggest one-day jump in gas prices since Hurricane Katrina back in 2005. According to AAA, the national average was 11 cents higher on Tuesday. The spike follows U.S. and Israeli strikes on Iran and the closure of the Strait of Hormuz. That's a key global oil route. About 20% of the world's oil goes through that strait. Iran has also launched retaliatory attacks targeting oil infrastructure and several oil-rich U.S. allies in that region. Now, according to AAA, the current national average price of gasoline is $3.20 per gallon. In North Carolina right now, it sits at $3, and in South Carolina, a bit less at $2.91 per gallon. Tax filing season is underway, although it may be a hassle to file your federal income tax return. If you're like a majority of U.S. tax filers, you will get a refund soon afterwards.
But this year, your refund may be a bit larger for a couple of reasons. Ivan Rodriguez discusses why and how people can take advantage of their extra cash.
There's two main reasons why Americans might receive a larger tax refund this year. First, Congress made a number of new and expanded tax breaks effective for tax year 2025. Also, most people did not adjust the tax withholding on their paychecks last year to account for the changes in their tax breaks.
Some people are getting larger child tax credits, lower tax brackets were extended. So for most people, there should be a little bit more in that tax refund this year.
Through the week ending February 20th, just about 29 million people had received 2025 federal tax refunds, averaging $3,800, according to the IRS. That's more than 10% higher than the same period last year.
This money can make a big difference in your overall financial well-being.
Ted Rossman with Bankrate says there are a few things to consider in terms of where to put your money to best use.
Credit card debt payoff should be a priority because the interest rates are so high. The average credit card debt load is around $6,700 according to TransUnion. If you make minimum payments towards that average amount at the average interest rate, you're in debt for close to 20 years.
Other areas to look at include boosting your emergency savings, saving for a home purchase, and investing. Although Rossman suggests not investing until you've checked off a few other boxes.
Historically, stocks have returned an annual average of about 10%. So your money's going to be doubling roughly every 7 years when that happens. So if you put that tax refund in today, that $3,800 could be around $10,000.
I'm Ivan Rodriguez reporting.
7:29 right now. Good news for those planning for retirement. Hopefully you are, but maybe you're not. The average 401k balance rose 11% according to Fidelity. This is the third straight year that the average corporate workplace retirement account enjoyed a double-digit hike. We all like that. Analysts say the strong showing comes from consistent saving habits by participants as well as overall market performance. The findings based on nearly 25 million accounts. To the same end, if you looked at it over the last few days, it might have given you a little bit of heartburn and agita, but that's okay. They say don't focus on the day-to-day.
Stay the course.
Stay the course, long-term, right? Chris?
Okay, trivia time. So yesterday we were talking about state flowers. Today we're switching over to birds, all in the spirit of the spring weather. What is the North Carolina state bird? Is it the Carolina wren, the northern cardinal, the American robin, or the brown thrasher? The answer coming up after the break. welcome back, everyone. We're doing that spring trivia, all Carolina based. So I'm going to ask my two favorite anchors. What is the North Carolina state bird? Is the Carolina wren, northern cardinal, the American robin, or the brown thrasher? Who's going to answer? Okay.
B, the northern cardinal.
Ding, 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 ding. Good job, good job. And Lisa already knows tomorrow's, which I was going to ask the South Carolina. So so I'm going to change it up. What is the South Carolina state bird?
A, the Carolina wren.
Boom! All right, Lisa getting double life points today.
There you go.
All right,
Well, I mean, I grew up here, so of course I got to know this stuff.
That's true, that's true. And we have a lot of these Carolina wrens that love to do a nest in some unique areas. Especially they like to nest in the small alcoves of grills. So we had a little grease pan at the bottom of that for about 4 years in a row. We just couldn't touch it, so we got a different grill. And then they just like to put their nest in there every single year. So yep, if you got this correct, congratulations. That was awesome. Just letting you know, our next big rain chance isn't necessarily going to be Saturday. I think it's really going to be on Sunday. This is the big change that I have in the forecast compared to what we had just a day ago. This is a slight chance for rain maybe to end your Saturday, but I think it's primarily going to be right here along the mountains. We'll have a little bit more clear picture by tomorrow. But what we do see is a front that's going to lift in all this heat and a little extra moisture. It's going to feel borderline humid this weekend. Nothing bad, nothing really super oppressive, just maybe a slight noticeable difference, but this is indicating that by the afternoon, we could have some thunderstorms starting to develop. So not a guarantee, just a big change that I am starting to see. And then for the future, I think we could keep an isolated storm chance around for your Monday, but then really, I think it's more Wednesday heading into Thursday morning. We're going to see our next big round where this could actually have a history of some severe weather. We'll watch that pretty closely in the near term. We are expecting those temperatures to continue to be on the rise. High temperatures will remain in the 70s and the 80s over the next 7 days. Enjoy it. Feel more like Matt. All right, another look at traffic with Majestic.
All right, let's do it. Good morning, everyone. Well, it's going to be a beautiful day. That'll be something nice to drive into. You can see this is I-77 out near Arrowwood. Those inbound lanes a lot slower compared to those outbound lanes, which is what we would expect this time of the day. Just before 8 o'clock this morning, still following this crash here. It's an accident. 2 right lanes still blocked. This is I-485, the inner loop to get onto I-77. A very high trafficked area, and especially going slower now that we do have that crash. Out towards Kings Mountain, I-85 inbound lanes also at a stop and go because of an ongoing wreck. At least for 3 to 4 miles, traffic will be moving incredibly slow. Guys.
Majestic, thanks. Live pictures right now over Uptown, 7:55. We're back after this on WCNC Plus.
Good morning, everyone. Look at this. Sunshine is out, sun's out, fun's out. Enjoy the day today. Boy, is it going to feel amazing. A true spring day. Yesterday, we only had a high of 58. Not today. We're already up to 50 degrees. Seeing clouds break off yonder. This is through our Dallas camera. So not a perfectly sunny start, but definitely going to see a lot more sunshine than what we had over the last couple of days. 76 for you in Hickory. Even warmer for you in Morganton, right around 78 degrees. Lincoln, you're at 75 and then 76 77 down in Charlotte. I think we have a nice mix of cloud and sunshine for the afternoon. Winds out of the southwest. Our Jerry Hunt Supercenter 7-day forecast. Boy, is this great. Over the next 7, I have a range of 75 to 84 degrees. This is literally May, y'all. We do have a developing storm chance, though. That looks to be more likely during your Sunday afternoon, and even better chance heading into later on next week. All right, Majestic, what do people need to know?
It's busy, but boy, it is beautiful out there. Wednesday morning commute. This is I-77 out by mile marker 7. That's out near Clanton. A busy start to the morning, but we're used to that. We're covering all of these accidents for you on WCNC Plus until 9 o'clock this morning. Here's a new accident to know about before you head out. This is on Albemarle Road inbound at Harrisburg Road, where delays are starting to build. Hope you have a good day.
Streaming live at 8 a.m. right here on WCNC Plus. I'm Ben Thompson.
And I'm Lisa Washington. We are standing by for a live update from the Pentagon this morning. At any moment, Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth is going to be speaking to reporters, where we're expected to learn more about the ongoing conflict in the Middle East.
In the meantime, let's go ahead and check in with Chris Mulcahy to get a look at your weather impact forecast. Chris?
Yeah, nothing too major for the time being, but I want to show you a video that we had from earlier this morning. This is our Dallas camera. This is physically SpaceX. You can see that rocket launch. Some people were caught by surprise saying, what is that off in the horizon? You see how fast it's moving. Absolutely amazing. Usually it's about 2 to 10 minutes after we have one of those launches, we can visibly see it here in North Carolina. And this is like the last little view before it officially disappeared behind this tower. But many of you are actually able to see it from the ground. That's right. Lincolnton, Paula sent this in. You can see it just above the roof line there and some of the treetops. And then also over in Hickory Grove, sent in by Robin. So thank you to all that sent me some wonderful photos and also some videos and wrote in from that awesome spectacle that we saw. I also saw a lot of really breathtaking views from around Cape Canaveral and Cocoa Beach. Very cool. Well, also what's great is we're not cool today. We already have that sunshine that's well up in the sky, a lot of upper level clouds with us. It's not a perfectly sunny day, but hey, the sun is actually out. So that means it's going to be a great day all in all across the board. We have been really stuck under that cloud cover. That's why yesterday literally only had a high of about 58 degrees across the area. So that's not ideal. That's not what you want. We were doing some trivia earlier, so I don't know how that snuck in there. I want to talk about what's changing. Coming up, we are now going to see an increased chance for rain. So this is what I was showing people earlier. We like to do kind of a new now next concept. Well, the now was some of that patchy fog that is now done. We have a nice warmer start, but then the weekend forecast really has those storm chances starting to blossom. And then we're going to have multiple days that are going to challenge a record, where especially once you get a little bit closer to that Friday time frame, things are really trending up. So we got a fever, and it's for spring. So right around 75 degrees for a high today, 80 degrees by Friday. And then heading into the weekend, we are seeing a nice little change because we're still going to be right around 81 degrees. I am sensing that we could maybe have a hint of humidity. I'm not talking about being muggy or anything like that, but you might notice it ever so slightly if you're sensitive to these type of things. We just have a higher dew point, which is meaning that we have more of that atmospheric moisture. So just letting you know, do have a storm chance on Sunday. That's the only big change. Enjoy the warmth though while we have it.
All right, Chris, thanks so much. So we want to go live now to the Pentagon, where the Secretary of Defense is holding that briefing this morning. Let's listen in.
We're going to be getting to that coming up in just a second, I believe. But first, a lot of us facing sticker shock this month when we got out our power bills. Higher costs and a cold winter drove up our utility rates.
Now, a new program is helping folks to lower those costs. Joining us now is Pat Robertson. He is with the Office of Sustainability and Resilience. Now, this program might be new to a lot of folks in Charlotte and in Mecklenburg County. So tell us, what is Energy Saver NC?
Yeah, good morning. Thank you for having me. So Energy Saver NC is a state-run rebate program that provides financial assistance to income-qualified homeowners and renters to receive energy efficiency and electrification upgrades. There are two different rebate pathways in the program. There's the Homes program and the HERE program. Homes rebates are for improvements that increase the overall energy efficiency of a home, such as insulation, air sealing, and upgrading heating and cooling systems. A key benefit of the Homes program is that residents can receive a free energy audit of their home that can identify what the best energy saving measures are in their home. The HERE rebates, on the other hand, support the purchase of energy efficient appliances and the electrification of home equipment, like Energy Star stovetops, Energy Star drying machines, heat pump water heaters, and electric heat pumps for heating and cooling.
So give us an idea, what's an appreciable difference people will notice if they take part in this program, if they qualify? What's the bottom line they're going to see on say, a monthly basis when it comes to costs?
Yeah, absolutely. So obviously rising utility costs are a big issue nationally and certainly across the Charlotte community. And so these rebates are really an opportunity for residents to reduce utility costs, to save on energy consumption in their home by upgrading the energy efficiency of their home. The rebates can also improve the comfort of their home as well, and there are some indoor air quality benefits as well for energy efficiency and electrification upgrades. The program is an income eligible program, so it supports residents in the community that can really benefit the most from energy efficiency rebates.
Excellent. And of course, very, very quickly, how can people find out about this?
Yeah, so you can learn more and sign up at energysavernc.org. On that website, there is an application form to fill out to see whether you're eligible and what projects you're eligible for. And if you're unsure about which pathway to apply for, whether it's Homes or HERES, or you're interested in both programs, the recommendation is to begin with the Homes program due to that free energy audit that will identify what the best energy saving measures are in your home.
Never been more relevant as people look at their power bills in the last few weeks. All right, Pat Robertson, thank you so much. We appreciate it.
Thank you. Okay, now we are going to go to the Pentagon, where the Secretary of Defense is speaking. Let's listen in.
And fixing their leaders and their military leaders. Flying over Tehran, flying over Iran, flying over their capital, flying over the IRGC, Iranian leaders looking up and seeing only U.S. and Israeli air power every minute of every day until we decide it's over. And Iran will be able to do nothing about it. B-2s, B-52s, B-1s, Predator drones, fighters, controlling the skies, picking targets. Death and destruction from the sky all day long. We're playing for keeps. Our warfighters have maximum authorities granted personally by the president and yours truly. Our rules of engagement are bold, precise, and designed to unleash American power, not shackle it. This was never meant to be a fair fight, and it is not a fair fight. We are punching them while they're down, which is exactly how it should be. Thus far, Operation Epic Fury has delivered twice the air power of shock and awe of Iraq in 2003, minus Paul Bremer and the nation building. The campaign has 7 times the intensity of Israel's previous operations against Iran during the 12-day war, 7 times. And as President Trump said, more and larger waves are coming. We are just getting started. We are accelerating, not decelerating. Iran's capabilities are evaporating by the hour, while American strength grows fiercer, smarter, and utterly dominant. More bombers and more fighters are arriving just today. And now, with complete control of the skies, we will be using 500-pound, 1,000-pound, and 2,000-pound GPS and laser-guided precision gravity bombs, of which we have a nearly unlimited stockpile. We used more exquisite standoff munitions at the start, but no longer need to. Our stockpiles of those, as well as Patriots, remains extremely strong. The enemy can no longer shoot the volume of missiles they once did, not even close. And the chairman will lay out some of those percentages. So our air forces and that of our allies have plenty of runway. We can sustain this fight easily for as long as we need to. And as I said yesterday, we set the terms. Now, you may not see much of it because the IRGC shut off the internet to the entirety of the country. They blind their people on purpose, just like they kill their own on purpose. Much was made of the volume of missiles Iran was able to shoot in the first few days. And sadly, as we projected, a few got through and killed 6 of our best, who will hopefully arrive home soon. We will avenge them, no doubt. But I liken Iran's predicament to a football team who scripted the first 20 plays of a game. The team knew what plays to run because their first few drives were scripted. But now that the game has started and the blitz is on, they don't know what plays to call, let alone how to get in the huddle and call those plays. Iran's senior leaders are dead. The so-called governing council that might have selected a successor, dead, missing, or cowering in bunkers, too terrified to even occupy the same room. Senior generals, mid-level officers, enlisted ranks, they can't talk or communicate, let alone mount a coordinated and sustained offensive. That's not great for morale. The Iranian Air Force is no more, built for 1996, destroyed in 2026. The Iranian Navy rests at the bottom of the Persian Gulf. Combat ineffective, decimated, destroyed, defeated, pick your adjective. In fact, last night, we sunk their prize ship, the Soleimani. Looks like POTUS got him twice. Their Navy, not a factor. Pick your adjective, it is no more. In fact, yesterday, in the Indian Ocean, and we'll play it on the screen there, an American submarine sunk an Iranian warship that thought it was safe in international waters. Instead, it was sunk by a torpedo. Quiet death. The first sinking of an enemy ship by a torpedo since World War II. Like in that war, back when we were still the War Department, we are fighting to win. Also, yesterday, the leader of the unit who attempted to assassinate President Trump has been hunted down and killed. Iran tried to kill President Trump, and President Trump got the last laugh. Now, this is not a mission accomplished situation. This is simply a reality check. The combination of U.S. and Israeli intelligence and combat power will control Iran, and will control it soon. Sure, Iran will still be able to shoot some missiles and still be able to launch one-way attack drones at civilian targets, and their proxies will attempt to attack our embassies, bases, and soft targets. They are terrorists, after all, and they need to target civilians. because they can't fight toe to toe. But we will find them and we will kill them. This is what the fake news misses. We've taken control of Iran's airspace and waterways without boots on the ground. We control their fate. But when a few drones get through or tragic things happen, it's front page news. I get it. The press only wants to make the president look bad, but try for once to report the reality. The terms of this war will be set by us at every step. As I said Monday, the mission is laser focused. Obliterate Iran's missiles and drones and facilities that produce them, annihilate its navy and critical security infrastructure, and sever their pathway to nuclear weapons. Iran will never possess a nuclear bomb, not on our watch, not ever. And this is why President Trump's moral clarity on Iran today is so vital. Unlike the past, where vague red lines and endless negotiations let Iran fund terror and inch ever so slightly toward a bomb, this president sees the threat plainly and acts decisively. No more half measures, especially when Iran is at its weakest. No more letting Tehran play for time while our people pay the price. His leadership ensures that we finish what we start and that we protect our warfighters by crushing the enemy before they can strike again. Our offensive operations, refined through months of relentless preparation, are unstoppable. And our defensive efforts are unprecedented. We have from the start put the protection of our troops ahead of everything else. Before we very publicly built up offensive combat power, we quietly ensured that our defensive posture and power was in place. And as we built up offensive combat power, we moved the vast majority of American troops, over 90% of Americans that were on our bases, what we say off the X, out of the range of Iranian fire. Our defensive shield is equally formidable, the most sophisticated air and missile defense network ever fielded. Thousands of Iranian missiles and drones have been intercepted and vaporized. Tens of thousands of American and allied lives protected. We have pushed every counter-UAS system possible forward, sparing no expense or capability. And like I said, this does not mean we can stop everything, but we ensured that the maximum possible defense and maximum possible force protection was set up before we went on offense. In closing, as President Trump told German Chancellor Merz yesterday, Iran negotiated in bad faith, stalling, scheming, and preparing to strike. And we acted decisively to defend our people, our interests, and our allies. President Trump took bold action, putting America first, the kind of bold action that the American people elected him to execute. To our steadfast partner, Israel, your mission is being executed with unmatched skill and iron determination. Fighting shoulder to shoulder with such a capable ally is a true force multiplier and a breath of fresh air. We salute your courage and your contribution. 4 days in, we have only just begun to fight. America fights to win, and in Operation Epic Fury, we are. May God's providence cover and protect our troops always. And with that, I turn it over to the chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary, and good morning, everyone. Thank you for being here. I'm here today to provide the American people and those of you in this room an update on Operation Epic Fury. First, it's with profound sadness and gratitude that I share the names of 4 of our 6 fallen heroes, all from the 103rd Sustainment Command, U.S. Army Reserves out of Des Moines, Iowa. Captain Cody Cork, Sergeant First Class Noah Tegens, Sergeant First Class Nicole Amore, and Sergeant Declan Cody. To the families of our fallen, we grieve with you today, and we look forward to welcoming your family members home at Dover in the coming days. Out of respect for the other families, we'll withhold the release of their names until next of kin notification is complete. And either myself or Admiral Cooper will release those names as soon as we can ensure that all of those families have been properly notified. To our Gold Star families, to our wounded warriors and their loved ones, we will never forget your sacrifice. Our nation stands with you, and we are eternally grateful for your courage, your resiliency, your devotion to this mission and to our nation. As the Secretary said, we're 4 days in, 103 hours into this campaign. The operation was again launched with clear military objectives designed to dismantle Iran's ability to project power outside of its borders, both today and in the future. First, we are targeting and eliminating Iran's ballistic missile systems to prevent them from threatening the U.S. Forces, partners, and interests in the region. Second, we are destroying the Iranian Navy, degrading its capacity, capability, and ability to conduct operations, not just in the Central Command AOR, but as the Secretary showed in the video, around the world. Third, we're ensuring Iran cannot rapidly rebuild or reconstitute its combat capability or combat power, and those phases will begin as the campaign continues. As of this morning, U.S. Central Command is making steady progress. Iran's theater ballistic missile shots fired are down 86% from the first day of fighting, with a 23% decrease just in the last 24 hours. And their one-way attack drone shots are down 73% from the opening days. This progress has allowed CENTCOM to establish localized air superiority across the southern flank of the Iranian coast and penetrate their defenses with overwhelming precision and firepower. We will now begin to expand inland, striking progressively deeper into Iranian territory and creating additional freedom of maneuver for U.S. forces. Let me explain a little bit about how we're thinking about staying ahead of the enemy. First, over the past several weeks, Admiral Cooper and the CENTCOM team have refined their operational approach to the region. Their planners identified key centers of gravity that would allow Iran to project power outside of its borders. They thought about how to isolate critical vulnerabilities and determined where, with precision, the greatest strategic effect could be achieved. As a result of this, CENTCOM is now shifting in day 4 already from large, deliberate strike packages using standoff munitions at range outside an enemy's ability to shoot at us, now into stand-in precision strikes overhead Iran. As the Secretary said, this is a point of munitions transition from standoff munitions to stand-in munitions like Joint Direct Attack munitions, which are GPS-aided free-fall weapons, and other things like Hellfires, etc. This will allow the joint force to deliver significantly increased precision effects on the target. The throttle is coming up, as the Secretary said, as opposed to ramping down. This will allow us to maintain consistent pressure on the adversary over the coming days, disrupt their launch timelines, and impose cost every day around the clock. I know there have been a lot of questions about munitions. We have sufficient precision munitions for the task at hand, both on the offense and defense. But I want to tell you, teammates, as a matter of practice, I don't want to be talking about quantities. And I know there's been a great debate about that, and I appreciate the interest, but just know that we consider that an operational security matter. Let me flip to the map here. Hopefully I don't kill anybody with a laser pointer. As I mentioned earlier, and for you with the camera right there, my friend, I hope I don't ricochet off and hurt you. Over the initial days, the U.S. Joint Forces continued to attack and attrit ballistic missile capabilities as well as integrated air defense capabilities along the southern axis. Along the northern axis, Israel and the Israeli Air Force has predominantly been working integrated air defense targets along the northern flank, as well as medium-range ballistic missile capability as well. From the sea, the USS Ford has continued to project combat power here, as well as the bomber pulses that we talked about in the opening days of this briefing. Along the southern axis, the USS Abraham Lincoln Strike Group has continued to provide pressure from the sea along the southeastern side of the coast and has been attriting naval capability all along the strait and up into the Arabian Gulf at a size and scale sufficiently to address the targets required. To date, we've hit over 2,000 targets, as Admiral Cooper said in his video last night. We've destroyed more than 20 Iranian naval vessels, including, in addition to the frigate outside of the area, one submarine, and effectively neutralized at this point in time Iran's major naval presence in theater out there. As the Secretary showed the video, for the first time since 1945, a United States Navy fast attack submarine has sunk an enemy combatant ship using a single Mark 48 torpedo to achieve immediate effect, sending the warship to the bottom of the sea. I want to remind everybody that this is an incredible demonstration of America's global reach. To hunt, find, and kill an out-of-area deployer is something that only the United States can do at this type of scale. Over the next 24 to 48 hours, CENTCOM will continue to strike infrastructure and naval capability, and we'll continue to assess our progress against the military objectives. It does take time for us to collect that information and to assess en route. Much of our intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance capability is currently hunting and killing ballistic missile launchers and one-way attack capability. We're precise in that assessment, and we call balls and strikes in that assessment. We take that matter seriously. Iran, on the other hand, has been indiscriminate and more imprecise in their attacks. They fired more than 500 ballistic missiles and more than 2,000 drones, striking innocent civilian targets throughout the region. Our partners are answering the call to defend themselves right alongside us. Jordan, Bahrain, Saudi Arabia, the UAE, Qatar, and Kuwait are all defending their people with their own combat capability, with precision and restraint. Jordanian air defense crews recently intercepted a cluster of Iranian one-way attack drones headed to Amman. Bahrain's air defense forces shot down an inbound drone approaching Manama's maritime infrastructure, protecting both their population and critical shipping lanes. Saudi Patriot batteries stopped a salvo of ballistic missiles aimed at energy facilities near Dhahran. The UAE neutralized multiple drones targeting Abu Dhabi's industrial zone, demonstrating speed and precision. And Qatari fighters for the first time have shot down 2 Iranian bombers that were en route to their location. Together, these nations are helping to defend themselves and project power as required against the enemy. We're 100 hours in. It's still very early, as the Secretary said, but the balance is shifting. We've always got to remember that these operations are complex, dangerous, and far from over. Our soldiers, sailors, airmen, Marines, Guardians, and Coast Guardsmen remain in harm's way, and we must be clear-eyed that the risk is still high. This is combat. Let us never forget this. As we continue, I ask that we hold all of our deployed teammates in our thoughts, those standing the watch, flying the sorties, sustaining the fight, and carrying our nation's burden. And I'll stop where I started, and that's remembering our 6 fallen who will return home as soon as possible. I remain humbled, grateful, inspired by every day the valor and professionalism of our joint force. They are quiet professionals through and through, out there doing America's work through the day and through the darkness. And with that, I'll take your questions along with the Secretary.
Go ahead.
What do you assess the enemy's control and command status is right now? And can you broadly describe our decisive point in this operation?
Well, I won't describe the decisive point in the operation because that would tell the bad guys what it was.
That's a good question, though.
I appreciate the question. Their C2 structures in a bad way. Admiral Cooper's been continuing to pressure C2 at the IRGC C2 and other military elements, and will continue to do so. Thank you for the question.
Thank you, all right, you've been listening to the Pentagon chief talking about the conflict in the Middle East right now, and of course remembering the 6 service members who we've lost so far. Keep it right here on WCNC Plus. We're back after this.
Well, good morning, everybody. Well, we are 50 degrees right now. Amazing, right? Wind's just about 5 miles per hour. This is a spectacular start to the day. Should be pumped about it. We've seen a decent amount of sunshine. Still a lot of those upper level clouds. So today is not going to be perfectly sunny. 44 right around Hickory, 43 around Morganton, and then we have 50 degrees in Statesville. But check out where our high temperatures are going to go. This is nice. 68 degrees even for you up in the high country. I think that we're going to have the sweet spot as far as the warmest temperatures right around Burke County, Morganton. I think you're going to see a little bit more sunshine than us. Strong winds out of the southwest is just the perfect day. Mid 70s, very comfortable. Don't really have to worry about any humidity that's on the humid side. We could see a little bit of a change of that really heading into the weekend. Temperatures in the mid to the upper 70s, right around 80 degrees on Friday, and then Saturday, Charlotte FC back in town. As we are springing forward, this is going to be a really nice forecast, but we are also going to see something else that is very spring-like, our storm chances. We have a very, very weak chance for a storm to develop right here on Saturday. I think it's more so on Sunday afternoon. We could have a line of storms starting to develop, and then here we hit the top. 84 degrees on Tuesday. Isolated storm chances Monday and Tuesday as well. Really see our best chance for rain really on Wednesday into Thursday. After that, a cold front will cool us back down. We're live streaming right now on WCNC Plus. We hope you join us over there.
Thanks for streaming live on WCNC Plus at 8:30 on this Wednesday morning. I'm Lisa Washington.
And I'm Ben Thompson. One of the most watched Senate races in the country is now set.
Former Governor and Democrat Roy Cooper will now face off against former Republican National Committee Chair Michael Whatley. The seat represents one of the Democrats' best chances to win back control of Congress.
WCNC Charlotte's Richard Devane now live in Uptown with a reaction from Cooper and Whatley. Two names we'll be hearing a lot of in the next few months. Richard.
Yeah, that's right, Ben. Good morning to you. Good morning, Lisa. Good Wednesday morning, everyone. Yesterday at this time, we were talking about the two men who would probably be the nominees for their party for that vying for that North Carolina Senate seat. But now we know who they are because it was not anything as far as a competition last night. Both Roy Cooper and Michael Whatley winning their respective seats rather handily. Now the two will face off against each other. Now, Cooper, the former Democrat governor of the state of North Carolina and former attorney general, will take on Michael Whatley. Michael Whatley, the former Republican National Committee chairman, won last night and actually had a chance to speak about a number of things. He aligned himself, as most Republicans are doing, closely with President Trump's ideologies and thanked the crowd for what he does, and says there's still work to do as he works to try to keep that seat. For his part, former Governor Cooper said that he did not have any plans on running for a national seat. He said he wanted to continue to work and help the people of North Carolina. In doing so, he needed to leave the state and go to Washington. We heard from both of them. Here's some of what they had to say about why they think they're best suited to lead the people of North Carolina in the Senate. Listen to this.
And I want to thank President Donald J. Trump for his strong and unwavering support in this race. His leadership has changed our country, and I am proud to stand with him in the fight to secure our border, to strengthen our economy, and put America first.
I will always put the people of North Carolina first, before politics, before party. The people of North Carolina will be my total focus as I serve in the United States Senate. I work with anyone, anywhere, from any party to help make our state better and to make stuff cost less.
Yeah, both folks laying down their platform for why they would be the best senators to replace Tom Tillis, who's retiring. Now, we can tell you all eyes of the country will be looking closely at this race. This is one of two seats that are going to be very hotly contested. Democrats think they have a chance of flipping one in Texas and this one here. Republicans know it's important for them to hold on to both of these seats to maintain control of the Senate. We have 8 months to find out, and in that time, we will hear quite a bit about and from these campaigns. We're right here in Uptown. This is Richard Devane. Guys, we'll send it back to you.
All right, Richard, thanks. All right, now to a race that has everybody reminding ourselves, yes, every vote does matter. Take a look at this. State Senator Phil Berger in the race of his life right now, currently trailing 2 votes. Yes, you heard me right, 2 votes. This is up in his district up in Rockingham County and Guilford County. He's been the Senate leader in North Carolina for about 15 years, arguably the most powerful man in the state of North Carolina, now losing by those 2 points, 2 votes, likely to go to some sort of recount. Let's go ahead and bring in Dr. Michael Bitzer. He's professor of politics at Catawba College. Professor, good morning. I know it was a late night for you. So what happens next in this Phil Berger, Sam Page race? I mean, there's still military votes, I believe, that need to be counted. I think there's provisional votes that need to be counted. With a 2-vote disparity, this could really still go either way.
It certainly could. And you're right. The military votes are still coming in. They may come in actually through March 12th. That's federal law. Then you have the issue of perhaps some mail-in ballots needing to be cured, needing to be counted ultimately. All of those provisional ballots that are outstanding potentially in that district. So there's a lot that has to be done, and then you have the legal challenges. You have the potential recounts. So this race is nowhere near decided, but certainly the 2 votes, I don't think anybody in North Carolina would have predicted this, but this is the kind of dynamic we have seen in this race.
Again, as you said, this is still incredibly early, too early to call. What does this mean, though, for Phil Berger? As Ben said, arguably the most powerful man in North Carolina when it comes to the politics here in the state. Even with it being this close, what does this mean for the Berger campaign?
I think certainly for the past 15 years, North Carolina has been reshaped by Phil Berger and his operations in terms of political strategy. And I think what this means for North Carolina, certainly if Phil Berger ultimately loses this race, there will be a fight to become the Senate leader, the president pro tem position that Phil Berger has held for the past 15 years. We could see some potential movement on the budget for the state of North Carolina. There's going to be a fundamental reshaping of North Carolina politics if Phil Berger actually loses this race, and it's a new day in terms of the state's politics.
I always tell people Phil Berger might not be a household name for some folks, but in the state of North Carolina, he's more powerful than the governor.
Yes.
Our governor does not have the powers that Phil Berger does, just by the way our state is set up. All right, let's talk the U.S. Senate race. No big surprise about who won, but you say the surprise is who voted. More than 200,000 people voted in the Democratic primary, even though it wasn't expected to be a competitive race, the Republican more so. What does that tell you?
I think that tells me that there is certainly a level of energy and enthusiasm on the Democratic side that we've been seeing in terms of public opinion polling, but we wanted actual numbers. We wanted to see who is showing up. And you're right, the Democratic U.S. Senate coronation, really, of Roy Cooper seems to indicate that there are a lot of people energized, a lot of people wanted to participate in the Democratic primary, even though there was really nothing statewide drawing them to that race. The race was actually on the Republican side. But to see that 200,000 vote imbalance really sends a signal to me that this is something to watch over the next 8 months as we lead into the general campaign of Democratic energy, Democratic enthusiasm. Does that then translate to a Democratic wave potential going into the fall? We'll have to watch all this closely, but this is a sign that we need to start paying attention to these dynamics.
I can only imagine how expensive this race is. I mean, our heads will be blown when we think about the amount of money that will be spent. Professor Mitchell, let's talk about the Carla Cunningham defeat. Any surprises to you there?
I think the biggest surprise was the absolute blowout in terms of the percentages. And what this really says to me is that not only are the voters party loyalists now, but the parties are expecting their elected representatives to be party loyalists, to be allegiance to the party. And when you buck the party can kick back. I think we saw that with all three Democrats who were siding with Republicans on gubernatorial vetoes. There was one Democrat who was trying to make a comeback who bucked his party 2 years ago. He got defeated as well. So we have sorted our political parties. We have sorted as voters into like-minded communities. And I think that the intensity of the polarization and division in the state is only going to get more extreme.
It's almost like the voters don't want you working across the aisle.
Oh, no.
and don't want you compromising whether you're Republican or Democrat, or else you'll get penalized. So we talked about Democrats. They're energized in this primary. The question is that going to last 9 months? And is that going to impact the November election? What do you think?
I think certainly it will last. We have to wait and see what the numbers and the feeling in terms of public opinion polling is going to show us over the next several months. But we'll have a good idea in terms of things like the generic ballot. Are you going to vote Democratic or are you going to vote Republican? And that gap between the Democrats and the Republicans are going to be what folks like myself are going to be watching very closely. I think the intensity is going to be there. The Trump administration is going to be the primary target of that energy and enthusiasm. If the economy continues to be forefront, that double whammy is really setting us up for a midterm unlike any other in terms of the magnitude that we might be seeing.
We focus primarily on the Democrats and the Republicans, but we know that they're the independents and they're those other party affiliates, smaller parties here in North Carolina. What will be the push to get them to go one way or another come November?
Well, the great mass of unaffiliated voters is the largest percentage within the 7.6 million registered voters of North Carolina, but they are not political independents. They tend to lean to one party over the other. North Carolina's swing voters, folks who bounce down the ballot, who are the persuadable voters, is an ever shrinking pool of voters. And so certainly I think that this year it's going to be the strategy of energizing and elevating your party base. Try to get some of those folks who are persuadable to your side, but that's not going to take a whole lot of effort because midterms are typically go against the president's party.
And I think I read on your blog, tell me if I'm making this up because I might be confusing it, but you should check out his blog. I think I read on your blog that in the primary, at least, those unaffiliated tended to break with Democrats at a far higher number?
At least in the early votes. We don't have Election Day data yet, but my suspicion is that indeed those folks who are registered unaffiliated who voted yesterday probably went much more Democratic, like the overall dynamic. And that indicates to me that's where the independents, so-called, are going to go potentially in November. We'll just have to wait and see the trend lines as we lead up to November's general election.
And considering their numbers, that can be huge.
I was going to say, because when you think about the turnout,
so
like
many
that
of
could
them.
be, if that was any indication.
All right, Michael Bitzer, Catawba College, thank you for joining us
Thank you.
on this morning after and drinking a couple extra cups of tea and coffee. We know it was a late night. Thank you as always.
My pleasure.
All right, we're going to take a quick break, but make sure that you keep it right here on WCNC Plus. We'll be right back. Approaching 8:45 now. All morning we've been showing you some of the primary results here in North Carolina, but it's not just North Carolina that had primaries yesterday.
That's right. Both Texas and North Carolina, states that could determine the control of the U.S. Senate come the fall. NBC's Alice Barr reports from Washington.
Results are in for the first primaries of this year's high-stakes midterm elections, with Texas-sized implications for control of Congress. Four-term Republican incumbent Senator John Cornyn is now headed to a runoff in May with State Attorney General Ken Paxton, with neither candidate winning a majority of the vote. Cornyn casting Paxton as a liability for a series of scandals, from a 2023 impeachment on bribery charges — he was acquitted by the state Senate — to a messy, ongoing public divorce.
I refuse to allow a flawed, self-centered, and shameless candidate like Ken Paxton risk everything we've worked so hard to build over these many years.
Paxton, who's built his credentials through aggressively suing for conservative causes, pushing back.
You listened to what John Cornyn was selling, and you weren't buying it. Tonight,
Change was on the ballot, and change won.
Whoever prevails in that bruising battle will face Democratic State Representative James Tallarico, who NBC News now projects defeated Representative Jasmine Crockett, as Democrats look to make a play for the traditionally red state, pointing to high turnout.
We are not just trying to win an election. We are trying to fundamentally change our politics. And it's working.
Democrats also aiming to gain ground in North Carolina's Senate race, where Republican Tom Tillis is retiring. Former Democratic Governor Roy Cooper now set to square off against former Republican National Committee Chair Michael Whatley. Two closely watched races that could determine control of the Senate. President Trump's influence looms large in these early races. The only Texas Republican incumbent in the House who did not have the president's endorsement, Dan Crenshaw, lost his race to State Representative Steve Toth, while on the Senate side, Cornyn and Paxton are still battling for the president's public backing. In Washington, Alice Barr, NBC News.
8:47 now, a live look at Lylesville this morning. Good morning to all our friends at Anson County, Wadesboro. Great to have you along with us this morning. When we come back, Chris is going to have a last look at your forecast. Stay with us.
Hi, this is Larry Sprinkle. It's Wednesday time for today's Tiny Town, which takes us over into eastern North Carolina, not too far from Rocky Mount, Tarboro, and Greenville in North Carolina. It's the town of, we look at that and you go, well, it's got to be Conto? Not right. The town was founded in 1887. It's just south of Tarboro, and it's Canida. That's a pronunciation. Canida is a Native American term that actually means high up or near heaven. Canida, North Carolina is in Edgecombe County, population 198, just a little over 0.3 of a square mile in territory. Canida, North Carolina, that's today's Tiny Town. I'm Larry Sprinkle.
100% during severe weather coverage, I would have butchered that name. So, Larry, thank you so much. Here's 4 different examples about how beautiful it is. Monroe showing some of those blue skies. Dallas, a mix of everything. Looking still a little bit on the hazy, cloudy side over in the Charlotte area, but that's just the camera angle. Here's really what it looks like from down below. Beautiful, beautiful sky here. We got a mix of a bunch of different cloud types. So that really shows that we're going to have a nice mix of cloud and sunshine throughout the day. Enjoy it. 50 degrees right now, 51 around Monroe, and before you know it, we're going to be cranking up Mother Nature's thermostat quickly into the 60s. By the afternoon, this is a spring afternoon. By the way, the average high for this day in climatology is 61. We're rocking 65 today, people. That means most of the afternoon is in the lower 70s, so enjoy that. But the thing that's not enjoyable, for the first time, we had our highest level of tree pollen, according to the Department of Natural Resources, that we've had here in the state of North Carolina. We've added cypress to the mix. Pine was the new addition that we had last week, but this is the highest level that we've had. Not technically at the extreme level, so if you have any sniffles and sneezes, it's because of this. And the sad thing is it's only going to get higher, and eventually we will be at that extreme level when things start to turn all yellow heading into the end of the month and to begin April. Last year, the peak was around April 7th. I'm really forecasting a similar time zone for that as well. Evening forecast, 70 degrees. Can you believe that? It's 70 degrees right around 6 o'clock, and the temperatures eventually back down to 60 degrees. Enjoy it. It's the perfect time. Depending on your tolerance, it's still sweatshirt weather. If you wanted to sit outside and eat, it's going to feel great. It really is going to have that spring feel. It's going to bring a smile to your face. Tonight, temperatures only dropping down into the lower 50s, so that means that we're rocking the 60s through the evening, the mid to the upper 50s most of the overnight, and then we fall to our low right when the sun is rising up, and we're dealing with average lows that are actually on par where our high temperatures should be. That shows how warm we are and how much above average. And then eventually we have a little price to pay. 37 degrees come next Thursday behind a strong cold front. That's also going to give us a couple of spikes of rain chances. It really looks like Sunday. And then again, Wednesday into Thursday are our best rain chances over the next 10. Meanwhile, in the short term, mix of cloud and sunshine, not really a lot to report for you. Just a better chance for maybe a thunderstorm, I would say, during your Sunday afternoon. There's a slight chance on Saturday too, but most likely we're going to avoid that. This weekend, either side of 80 degrees. We're still rocking lower to the mid 80s for your Monday and Tuesday. And then that longer future cast and that longer forecast is eventually showing against that cool down where highs will return to the 60s. But in the meantime, enjoy this May-like weather with temperatures in the 70s and the 80s. All right, one last look at our morning commute here on WCNC Plus.
Let's do it. Good morning, everyone. This is what remount looks like. This is I-77 out near mile marker 8. It is a slow roll, but that's kind of what we're used to just before 9 o'clock. Still not completely done with that rush time hour. You can see right here a new crash. I want to get to this because I'm seeing delays basically coming in all directions, including stop and go traffic. South Tryon Street at Steelcroft Parkway. That's our latest accident where you can see all of that red to the west of that. Another one still on South Tryon Street at General Drive. So tracking those two active crashes that are generally pretty close to one another. Another thing is we're hopping over to the east just a little bit. This is on Sardis Road at Randolph Road. We have slow moving traffic coming in both directions. Part of this is just our morning rush commute, but it's also impacted by that crash. Just to the north of it, Randolph Road, this time just south of Sharon Amity Road, where we do have some delays still ongoing. Finally, Queens Road at Kings Drive, that is an ongoing wreck right there in the middle of the intersection.
Majestic, thanks. Today in women's history, Frances Perkins shattered a national barrier when she became the very first woman to serve in the U.S. cabinet. Appointed Secretary of Labor back in 1933, she played a central role in shaping some of the country's most important worker protections. We're talking about things like Social Security, unemployment insurance, and the 40-hour work week. We have her to thank. Her appointment marked a turning point for women in public service, proving that leadership at the highest levels of government was possible. All right, going to take a quick break as we take a live look inside our live Impact studio. Coming up at the top of the hour, Jay Monreal is going to join us from that studio. She's going to have Sheriff Gary McFadden, fresh off his win last night. It was a nail biter. She's going to talk to him about it coming up at the top of the hour right here on WCNC Plus.
Hey, good morning. 56 degrees. This is amazing. We got plenty of sunshine out there. On Sunday, we were at 77. Yesterday, only a high of 58 degrees. Today, 75, so we're doing much better. And then look where we're going. Upper 70s to the lower 80s. I've been mentioning this isn't March. This is May. We just skip right to it. Now, eventually, we'll get back to normal. Our Jerry Hunt Supercenter 7-day forecast is showing the mid to the upper 70s, then the lower 80s. As far as our next chance for rain, it's not happening over the next 3 days. We have the slightest chance for an isolated shower. I think as the sun is setting on Saturday, we spring forward, then we have something else spring-like. Maybe a spring storm possibly popping up during your Sunday afternoon. So I definitely think that Saturday is the pick of the weekend. At least it still feels great, starting off in the 60s and ending in the upper 70s. The top, 84 degrees, a slight chance for rain next Tuesday. All right, Majestic, one last look at traffic.
It's a beautiful start to the day. Traffic is still congested, though. This is I-77 out near Clinton. You can see those inbound lanes definitely moving slowly. Still a handful of ongoing issues. Do want to let you know about this one, though, as we have delays coming in really from all directions. South Tryon Street at Steelcroft Parkway. Another one on South Tryon again at General Drive. So be mindful of those two crashes if you take South Tryon. Otherwise, take it easy.